Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. Enjoy! For this question, it's really important that we understand what the words sum and product mean. Now, sum just means add, and product just means times. So we're going to start by adding the 5 and the 4. So that will equal 9. And then what we're going to do is find the product of 9 and 7. So we're going to multiply them together. 9 times 7, which is 63. So our answer is 63. So we're just going to start by writing the number a little bit bigger. So it says to 2 decimal places. So we're going to draw a line after the second decimal place. Now all the numbers to the right are going to disappear. They're going to turn to 0, and because it's a decimal, that just means we get rid of them. But we have to look at this number first. Now if this number is less than 5, we just keep the number to the left, so 8.17. But if it's 5 or more, then this 7 goes up to an 8. So this will be 8.18. To answer this question, we're going to find the answers to the numerator and denominator, then we're going to divide the two. So 3 plus 42 is 45. 5 times 3 is 15. And what this line means in the fraction, it means divide. So we're going to do 45 divided by 15. So I'm just going to go through the 15 times table and just work out that's 1 times 15, 2 times 15, 3 times 15. So 3 15s in 45. So for shop A, they're selling the rulers in lots of 3. And so we just need to get our 60 and divide it by 3 to figure out how many lots of 3 we have. So we've got 20. So if one bundle of rulers costs £1.50, then 20 times £1.50 would be £30. So in total it would cost £30 at shop A. We're going to do the same for shop B. Their bundles are 5 rulers, so we're going to do 60 divided by 5, which is 12. So we're going to buy 12 bundles at £2 each, and that will be £24. So the cheapest price is at shop B at £24. Median means middle of an ordered list. Now, when numbers are put in a stem leaf diagram, it means by default they are in order. So we're going to cross out the smallest and largest number. So the smallest number is the 4 here. Well, actually that represents 34. The largest is this 69 up here. Put a pen away. Then cross out the smallest. Well, the next smallest is 39. And the next largest is this 59. So I'm always going to the top left, then the bottom right. So the top left number is this 43. Bottom right number is this 54. Top left number is this 44. Bottom right number is this 53. Now, here's a problem. We're left with 2 numbers in the middle, this 49 and this 52. So whenever we're left with 2 numbers, what we do is we add them together, divide by 2. So to find the median, we're going to do 49 plus 52, and we're going to divide that by 2. So 49 plus 52 is going to be 101, divided by 2. And 101 divided by 2 is 50.5, or 50.5. And again, realise that 50.5 is halfway between 49 and 52. So 55% is the same as 55 over 100. And what I can do is I can divide top one of the fraction by 5. And so that is going to equal 11 over 20. Now in total there are 20 squares here, because there's 5 across and 4 down. 5 times 4 is 20. And if there's 20 squares and we're looking to shade in 11/20ths, it's just going to be 11 squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we're going to first of all work out what 100% of 260 is, and that's just 260. Next we're going to work out what 10% is. And 10% is very easy because we just divide it by 10. So 260 divided by 10 is 26. And we also need a 5, so I'm going to try and grab a 5%. And we do that by halving the 10%. So that would be 13. And then all we need to do is add the 26 to the 13, because the 10 plus the 5% are 15. And that's 39. So our answer is 39. Another way of writing a to the power of 6 is a times a times a times a times a times a. And another way of writing a to the power of power of 5 is a times a times a times a times a. Now you might notice that altogether there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 a's that are being multiplied together. When you multiply something together 11 times, you get that thing, which is an a, to the power of 11. An easier way of doing this is just adding the powers. So when you've got the same base, which we do here because they're both a, you just add the powers together. So the first thing we're going to do is write this as a ratio between the fractions. So we're going to have green to black. Now it says that a quarter of the counters are black, and therefore the remaining counters will be green. So if a quarter are black, that leaves 3/4 to be green. And what we can do here is on both sides of the ratio, what I'm going to do is just times it by 4. So I'm just going to times 4 both sides. So 3 divided by 4 times 4, because over 4 just means divided by 4. So 3 divided by 4 times by 4 just gets rid of the fraction. And 1 divided by 4 times 4 is just going to be 1. Now this might surprise some people because they will probably think it's a ratio of 4 to 1. But we can show here that it's a ratio of 3 to 1. To get from the length of a square to the area, we square the length. To work backwards, what we do is we square root, because the inverse of square is square root. So we've got 196 and we're going to square root it to find the length. So we work out the square root of 196, which is what number times itself is 196. And you should learn them from 1 to 15. So you should know all of the square numbers from 1 to 15. So you should know that the answer is 14. So the length therefore is 14. So to work out what the perimeter is going to be the distance around the square. So if I draw a square out, we know that each of these lengths are 14. So it's just going to be 14 times 4, which will be 56. So the pass mark for the test is here, and we can see that there are 2 students who passed the test. So it's 2 students out of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in total. And we want this as a percentage, so we're going to times it by 100%. So we do 2 over 7 times 100, and that gives us 28.571 blah blah blah. And it says it wants it to the nearest percent, so that will be 29%. So we've got to first of all find out what the gradient is for our graph. So we're just going to pick 2 points and draw a triangle between them. So I'm just going to pick this point here and this point here. And there's no reason I picked those, just pick those at random. And we look at how far it's going to cross. So it's going to cross 10. how far it's gone up. So it's gone from 24 to 36, so it's gone 12 up. And to work out the gradient, which you can call n, or you can just write out the word gradient, it's change in y over change in x. So how much has y changed over how much has x changed? So y is this one here, so it's changed by 12, and x has changed by 10. So it's 12 divided by 10, which is 1.2. Now a gradient represents the amount of change in the y per one change in the x. So for every 1 mile we travel, we're going to go up, it's going to cost 1.2 more. So the interpretation that we give for this context, because this is about taxis, is that the taxi will cost £1.20 or 120 pence per 1 unit on the x per mile. And that's true for the gradient for any context. It's for every one of this, how much of this increases, how much the y increases by. So when simplifying ratio, it's very similar to simplifying fractions, but instead of the same thing having to do the same thing to the top and bottom, you have to do the same thing to the left and right. So I'm going to start here by dividing both sides by 100, because I noticed they both have 2 zeros at the end. So that'll give me 10 here and 34 here. Now these are both even numbers, so a nice easy next one to do is dividing by 2. And we get, was it 17? And 5 and 17, well, they're both prime numbers, and so there's nothing we can cancel them by, so it's going to be our answer, 5 to 17. To find the surface area of the cuboid, I'm just going to label the faces and do them individually. So we've got A, which is 24 by 13. And so we're going to do 24 times 13, which is 312. Next we're going to do B, which is this one at the top, and it's 24 across and 8 is the length. So 24 times 8, which is 192. And finally C on this side here, which is going to be 13 times 8, which is 104. Now notice that the faces all have the exact same face on the opposite side. So this one at the back is also A, this one at the side is also C, and the one at the bottom is also B. So what I'm going to do is add up all the areas of the squares and double it. So to work out the surface area, we're going to do 2 times and then 312 plus 192 plus 104, and that will give me 1,216 centimeters cubed squared, because it's an area. I'm going to rewrite this expression by putting a times sign in, so 9 times x minus y squared. Then I'm going to substitute in the values, so x is 4, so it's going to be 9 times 4 minus, and then y is 3, so it's going to be 3 squared. So 9 times 4 is 36, 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9, and 36 take away 9 is going to be 27. Whenever we're putting fractions, decimals and percentages in order, the best way of doing it is converting them all into decimals. So here we've got 0.8, which is already a decimal, so that's just going to be 0.8. Here we've got 9/10, so 9/10 is 0 in the units column and a 9 in the tenths column. 7 over 25, well, something we can do with that is just times top and bottom by 4, so we get 28 over 100. So it's going to be 0 in the units column, 2 in the tenths column, and 8 in the hundredths column. Next thing we're going to do is draw a little place value table. And so we've got units here, tenths and hundredths. So we've got 0.9, 0.28 and 0.8, And you can see here that looking at the 10th column, that 2 means that this 0.28 is the smallest. So 0.28 is 7 over 25, so that's our smallest. And it says it wants it in ascending order, which just basically means from smallest to biggest. Okay, looking at that, so we've dealt with that. The next smallest is that 8, so 0.8. So 0.8 will be our next smallest. And then the largest is that 0.9. Now 0.9 is 9 over 10. Now always make sure that if it's given in a fraction that you don't write the decimal in the answer. You want to make sure you write what the question had with it. The front elevation of a shape is the view you'll get if you were standing at the front. So if you imagine you're standing here, the only side you will see is this side here. And what will it look like? Well, it will look like a complete square or rectangle. And how high will it be? Well, it will be 6 centimeters high. And how wide will it be? Well, it will be 2 centimeters wide. So what we're going to do is we're going to just draw a rectangle that is 2 centimeters wide and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 centimeters tall. There we go. And make sure that you don't add any three-dimensional aspects to it, that you don't do something like this, have some 3D stuff on it. No. Whenever you do a front elevation, it's exactly perfectly two-dimensional. To work out the circumference, we need to first of all work out what the diameter of this is. And to do that, we just draw a line across the circle, and we can see the diameter is twice as big as the radius. So the diameter is going to be the radius times 2, which is 28. Formula for the circumference of a circle is just pi times the diameter, which will be pi times 28. Now to write this in terms of pi, which the question asked for, we just put the number first and then pi. So it will be 28 pi. To answer this question, we're going to have to create a two-way table for all the information. So I'm just going to draw a quick table. So we've got maths, English, science, then a total column. And then across here we have male and female and a total column. Okay, so going to fill in maths at the top, English, science, and then we have a total. And then we've got male, female, and then total at the bottom. So looking at the information we have, it says there are 43 students who are male. So altogether the total male is 43. 30 out of the 52 students who went to science were female. So we're just looking at science, and 30 were female, and it says there were 52 altogether. 37 students went to English, so total for English was 37. And then 17 females went to maths. So looking at maths and females, which would be there. So that's all the information we're given, apart from the 115 as well. There we go. So we start filling these in. So looking at these two, if there are 115 students altogether and 43 were male, that means 72 will be female. Looking along the bottom here, the total of English was 37, the total of science was 52, and the total altogether 115. And notice I'm not necessarily reading the question here, I'm just filling out the two-way table, but we'll read the question at this point. So it says work out the number of males who went to English. Males who went to English will be this box here, so this is our target. But you can't work that out directly, we've got to kind of go around and work out what we can. So the next thing we can do is work out this bit here. So the total females 72, the females who went to maths 17, females who went to science 30, so that leaves 25. And then you can see here we can work this out. So the total was 37 who went to English, 25 females, and so that means there will be 12 males. Whenever you have angles on parallel lines, you always draw out the letter in which they create. So we could have a situation here where the two angles create a Z like this, and those will be alternate. They could create a Z like this. That would also be alternate. They could create a C, which looks like that, and that would be interior, co-interior, or allied, depending on your preference. There could be a backward C. Again, that would be interior, co-interior, or allied. Or they could look like an F. Now, there are several Fs, about 4 Fs that they could look like. There's the F like this. There's the same thing but backwards. And there's the upside down versions. So you have the ones that go out this way. And the actual one we've got here, if I don't move that, the actual one we've got here which goes inward like that. I seem to be moving things. Let's try that again. So with all the F angles, we know that they're corresponding. Now, how do we figure that out? How do we remember that? There's loads of different ways. The way I remember it is I remember corresponding for corresponding. I remember alternate for alternate, and then either co-interior, interior, allied, I just remember as the other one. So interior, I just remember as the kind of C one, the other one. And so with this question, we've got x is equal to 73 because of F angles, and I just remember corresponding. So the word I write down isn't obviously corresponding, but corresponding. And it sounds silly, but I've remembered that for all my years teaching. I used to get corresponding and alternate mixed up. That was the way I remembered it, and I've never had an issue with corresponding alternate angles again. So whatever method you have, just to help you remember which one to pick, obviously have a method in advance of the exam, and then when this question comes up, you'll be more than happy to pick the right one. So we're going to write an expression for the amount of people on the first bus. So they've started with X passengers and they've gone to 11 bus stops with X passengers. So altogether that is 12X. So we're going to have the first bus. And so we've got 12X. And then on the last bus stop, 19 passengers get on. So plus 19. Now for the second bus, well, we start with X and a further 5X come on. Because 5 bus stops with X passengers, so that's 6X altogether. And then 79 get on. And it says the first bus finishes with less passengers than the first. So the first bus finishes with less. And the way we show that is with this inequality here. Now all we need to do is solve that inequality. And we've got x on both sides, so we look at the x's. We've got 12x and 6x, so we always take away the smaller amount. So we're going to take away the 6x both sides. And next thing we're going to do is take away the 19 from both sides. And so, meant to be 60. Got ahead of myself. And the last thing we do is divide by 6 both sides. And so we've got x is less than 10. Now, it says here, assuming no passengers got off either bus, what is the largest value for x? Now, it is tempting to write down 10, but it says x has to be less than 10. So the biggest number we can get that is less than 10 is 9. So we're asked to find the value of n where both sequences have the same term. So I'm going to start off by equaling both nth terms to each other. And then we can find the value of n, which gives the same term. So I draw my lines down. And I'm going to start off by getting rid of the n's from both sides. So we look to see which is the smaller amount. So we've got 12n and we've got 6n. So the smaller amount is the 6n. So we're going to take away 6n both sides. and so that would be 6n plus 19, and we've got rid of the 6n, so it's just 79. Next thing we're going to do is get rid of the 19, so take away 19 both sides, and so we've got 6n equals 79 take away 19, which is 60, and finally we just go divide the 6, and so that would be n equals 10. So the value of n is 10. Now we can just test this, because if you do 6 times 10, which is 60, 60 plus 79, which will be 139. And then if we do the same for the top one, 12 times 10, which is 120, plus 19, which is 139. So they both have the same term when n is 10. So here we're asked to find how many bread rolls we can make. We've got 89 kilograms and it takes 0.08 kilograms to make a bread roll. Something we can do is convert these into grams, or we can just keep it at kilograms, but I've got a neat little trick. And the trick is, if you've got a decimal when you're dividing, as long as you do the same thing left and right, you can multiply them by 10 or 100. In this case, we're going to multiply both by 100, because it will make the division a lot easier, because it will make this right hand side, instead of 0.08, it will just make it 8. The reason we can do that is 89 divided by is the same as 89 over 0.08, and as a fraction we can just times top and bottom by 100, so it would be this over 8. So now we can do the bus stop method, so 8 on the outside, and in fact I might use a straighter line here. There we are. And we've got 8,900 on the inside. So 8 into 8 go 1, 8 into 9 go 1, remainder 1, 8 into 10 go 2, remainder 2, and 8 into 20 go 2, remainder 4, and 8 into 40 go 5. Now, it says how many bread rolls can we make? Now, we can make 1,122 and a half. Well, half doesn't really count, so we're just going to say 1,122 whole bread rolls. Yes, we've got half a bread roll left over, but we are asked how many whole bread rolls can we make. So we're looking for angle DEC, which is this one here, but we can't go directly there. We've got to kind of work our way towards it. And the first thing I'm going to look at is these set of parallel lines here. And we've got a line going through these parallel lines, which is this line. If I try and do it without removing it, this line here. And so therefore this angle here and this angle are going to be corresponding. So this is going to be 69 degrees. So I need to write that down properly. So angle CDE equals 69 degrees because of corresponding angles. Okay. So if I know that the CDE is 69, I also will know that this angle here is 69, because they're the bottom two angles in a triangle. Now, when I say that, I mean when an isosceles triangle is the right way up, the bottom two angles are equal. So they're the bottom two angles in an isosceles, although the isosceles is on its side here. And we need to write that down, so it would be angle DCE equals 69 degrees. And this time it's because it's an isosceles triangle. And finally, we can work out what CED is by taking those away from 180. So angle CED, or actually I should keep it as it says in the question, DEC, is equal to 180, take away the 69 plus 69. And the reason for that is angles in a triangle equal 180 degrees. And when you do that, you get the answer of 42 degrees. So the answer is 42 degrees. The important thing to realise in this question is that we know a female has been selected. So we can just basically get rid of all of this part of the frequency tree because it's not relevant, because we know a female has been selected. So there's 29 females altogether, and we're looking for the probability that the female chosen at random picked action. So it's just simply 16 over 29. A different way of writing this is 1 plus 1/3 plus 2 plus 3/8. So what we can do is just add the 1 and the 2 together to make 3. And then all we need to do then is find out what 1/3 plus 3/8 is. So we're looking for a common denominator between those two. And 3 and 8, if you write out the 3 and the 8 times table, the common denominator is 24, which is 3 times 8. So we're going to times top and bottom of the third by 8, so it becomes 8 over 24. And top and bottom of the 3 over 8 by 3, so that's 9 over 24. Add the tops when the bottoms are the same, so that would be 17 over 24. And then that would just make the answer 3 and 17 over 24. So this question is asking us really to divide the 5 3/4 by 1 3/4. So we're going to do 5 3/4 divided by 1 3/4 because we're finding out how many of each of these towels, which is 1 3/4 meter, can be made when the total amount of cotton is 5 3/4. So first thing we're going to do is convert them to mixed numbers, to top-heavy or improper fractions, because at the moment they're mixed numbers and we can't divide or times if they're mixed. So we times the 5 by the 4 and add it to the top, which will be 20, and then add it to the top 23, and then do the same. 1 times 4 is 4, plus it to the top is 7 over 4. Now a little trick here is KFC. We keep the first fraction, we flip the second fraction, and we change the divide sign to a times sign. So we're going to keep this first fraction as it is, change that divide to a times, and flip the second fraction. Okay, whenever we multiply, we just multiply the tops, so 23 times 4, which is 92, and we times the bottoms, which will be 28. And now we need to convert this back into a mixed number. So first of all, actually we can simplify this because we can divide top and bottom by 4. So that would be 23 over 7. And then make this a mixed number. So 7's into 23 go 3 whole ones, and then obviously 2 remainders, so it's 2 over 7. Now it asks us for the amount of towels that she can sew patterns into. Now the issue here is that she will do 3 whole towels, but then have some left over, but she doesn't have enough to create a 4th towel, so it's just going to be 3 as an answer. Factorising is the opposite of expanding, so instead of multiplying something out of a bracket, we're putting it in a bracket. I'm going to start just by putting the bracket down, and we're going to ask ourselves what number can we divide out of 18 and 33, and we need the biggest number we can divide out of both of them. So we're essentially looking for its highest common factor. So 18 and 33, that would be 3. And there's no letter we can divide out of both of them because 33 doesn't have a letter. Next we ask ourselves 3 times what is 18x? Well, 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 6x will be 18x. Then we ask ourselves what times 3 is 33? And that's obviously going to be 11. And you can expand that. 3 times 6x is 18x. 3 times 11 is 33. So we know we've got the right answer. So our answer is 3 brackets 6x plus 11. Sometimes it's easier with these questions to multiply both numbers by, say, 10 or 100 or 1,000. So if we look at the 0.06, if we times that by 100, it would make the question a lot easier. But with a division, if you times one of the numbers by 100, you have to times the other one by 100. So we just go times the 30 by 100. and times the 0.06 by 100 to make that 0.6. And this actually is the same calculation as 30 divided by 0.06. The reason being is that you can write that as a fraction. And you know with fractions you can just times to the top by something and times the bottom by something. It doesn't change the fraction at all. It just keeps it exactly the same. So we're going to use the bus stop method to find out what that is. So we're going to divide that out. 6 doesn't go into 3, so carry that. 6 is into 30, go 5, 6 into 0, 6 into 0. So that's going to be 500. So it's really important, first of all, we make clear about how we convert things. So if I've got a unit in kilometers and I want to convert it into meters, then we know we just times it by 1,000. So 2 kilometers is 2,000 meters. But if I have something in kilometers squared and I want to convert it into meters squared, I actually times it by 1,000 squared, which is 1,000 times 1,000. Okay, so I'm actually times it by not 1,000, but 1,000 squared. So that's another 3 zeros. You can see here that that's 1,000,000. So we times it by 1,000,000. So 13 kilometers squared is going to be the 13, and then it's going to be times by 1,000,000. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be 13 million. Now, it says here the farmer must pay 1 pence tax for every metre squared. So this is going to be 13 million metres squared. And so that's going to cost him, or her, 13 million pence. But the answer is going to be in pounds. So we just need to get rid of 2 of the zeros at the end. So it's going to be 13, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be £130,000. To find the pressure, we need the area and the force. And we're given the force in the question, and so all we need to do is find out what the area is, which will be the 7 times the 9, which will be 63 centimetres squared. And the force is given to us in the question, so what we can do is write down the pressure formula, which says that pressure equals the force divided by the area. Force is given to us as 2268. The area we've calculated is 63. Divide the 2 and you get 36. So it's going to be 36 newtons per centimetre squared. Now, between A and B, the shapes haven't changed size, so it's not an enlargement. They haven't rotated or they haven't mirrored, they've just moved. And the word we use for that is translation. So this has been a translation. And for a translation, we need to find out how far right they've gone and how far up they've gone. So we pick a point that we know on both shapes, and I'm going to pick the top left. And we count how many jumps we jump to the right. So 1, 2, 3. So we do 3 jumps to line it up with the other one. So there's a 3 at the top to say 3 to the right. And then we count how far up we have to go. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we've actually had to go down. And whenever you go down, it's like having minus up. Okay, down is minus up. So it's going to be minus 4 because there were 4 jumps. When we multiply numbers, it doesn't actually matter which order we multiply them. So we can do 2 times 4 times 10 to the power of 8 times 10 to the power of 9. 2 times 4 is 8. And when we multiply 2 powers with the same base, we add the powers. That's going to be 10 to the power of 17. So our answer is 8 times 10 to the power of 17. So we're going to first of all convert the 11 litres into millilitres. So we're going to do 11 times 1,000. Which would be 11,000. Okay, so we're going to just draw a line, like a number line. And we're going to have the 11,000 in the middle. Now, what would be the next one down if we're looking at to the nearest 10 mil? So we're going to add a 10 mil on, which will be 11,010, and we're going to take the 10 mil away. So 11,000 take away 10 mil will be 10, what is it, 990. Now when we're looking at limits, with the upper and lower part of it, we are looking at halfway points. So halfway here and halfway here. So this halfway point will be 10,995, and the next one will be 11,005, and that's the halfway points. And so that is going to be our upper and lower bound. And we just need to say that V can be anything above the 10,995 and including that, and it can be anything below 11,005, but it can't include that, because if it did, if it was 11,005, it would have rounded up to 11,010. So the thing we know about triangles is their angles add up to 180. So what we can do is we can say w squared plus 84 plus w plus 3w equals 180. And let's just put that together. So it's w squared plus 4w plus 84 equals 180. Now, with quadratics, whenever we're looking to solve, we want to have it equal to 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to take away the 180 from both sides, so it equals 0. So we've got the w squared plus the 4w, but we want to take away the 180 from it, which will give us minus 96 equals 0. So with quadratics, when we're trying to solve them, we need to put them into brackets. And to do that, we need two numbers that add together to make the 4 here and multiply together to make the 96 here. So just going through different numbers for 96, and you can try different ones. The first letter in the bracket will be W, first thing in the bracket would be W. And I think it's going to be, well, it's going to be a positive and a negative to get that negative there. 96 is 12 and 8, so it would have to be, let's have a think. It'd have to be a positive 12 and a negative 8 to add together to make a positive 4, and 12 times minus 8 is minus 96. That works. And to solve, we look at the left hand side first and get that equal to 0. So w plus 12 equals 0, and then solve it. Take our lines in. Take away 12 both sides. W equals minus 12. And we get the left hand or the right hand side, get that equal to 0. W minus 8 equals 0. Lines in. Add 8 both sides. W equals 8. Now we've got two answers here, but it says value of W. Well, we can't have a negative angle, so we know we're looking for W to be positive, so the answer must be 8. So to answer this question, you need to just know the answer off by heart. There is a diagram that can help us actually get there. And if we just draw a right angle triangle and put the lengths as 1, we've got right angle here, we can use Pythagoras, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, to work out the fact that this is going to be root 2. Because it's an isosceles triangle, this angle here is going to be 45 degrees, and same with the bottom right one, but we're not interested in that. When we label it with our marked angle here, we've got the adjacent is here and the hypotenuse is here. Now we know from trigonometry that cos x equals a over h. The angle is going to be cos 45, and a is going to be 1 and h is going to be root 2. Now, this is a bit of a strange one with 1 over root 2, because we need to actually be able to rationalise the denominator. And basically what that means, if you haven't done surds yet or you aren't doing surds, is you times tom 1 by root 2. And so we end up with root 2 over 2. So if you ever see 1 over root 2 is absolutely fine as an answer, but if you ever see the answer as root 2 over 2, the two are actually exactly the same. So writing 1 over root 2 is fine, or writing root 2 over 2 is also correct. We don't have to for this question, but it might be helpful to draw a Venn diagram for this. And we've got green and brown leaves. So we'll have green on the left and brown on the right. So green and brown. And we're told that there are 19 green and 15 brown and 6 that were not green and brown. So the only number we can put in is the 6 on the outside of the Venn diagram. We're told that 19 are green, but we don't know which, either they're in here or a bit of both. So what we can do is we can label the center X, and we can say that there are 19 take away X just green, because they could have been both green and brown. And for the brown we can do the same, so it'd be 15 minus X. And for the next step, we know that all of them together add up to 32, because it says in the question. So we're going to add all of these, the 19 minus X, the X, the 15 minus X, and the 6 together, and we know that equals 32. And let's get our solving lines in. So we've got minus X and minus X, so that will be a minus X. And we've got 19 plus 15 plus 6, which will be 40, equals 32. We're going to take away the 40 both sides. And we can just times by minus 1 both sides to make them both positive. So now we know X is 8, we can start filling in the Venn diagram. So it's 19 take away 8, which will be 11. X is 8, so we know that that's 8. And 15 take away 8, which is 7. So find the amount that were green and brown. We know it's going to be 8. Acceleration is change in velocity over change in time. So change in velocity, where it starts at 0 and goes up to 150. So that would be 150 over the change in times. Well, the time starts at 0 and goes up to 5, so that's 5. And so 150 divided by 5 is 30. The velocity is in meters per second, the time is in seconds, so the units will be meters per second squared. So it's 30 meters per second squared. So here we're just adding the column vectors. So we're going to add the tops, so 2 plus the 5, and we're going to add the bottoms, minus 4 plus 6. 2 plus 5 is 7, minus 4 plus 6 is 2. So our answer will be 7, 2. There are two parts to this power. We've got the negative there, which means we're going to find the reciprocal of the fraction. And then we've got that 3 there, which just means we're going to find that as the power. So we're going to first of all flip the fraction. So that's going to become 3 over 5. And we've still got the power 3 there. And then we're going to cube top and bottom. So cubing the 3 gives us 27. Cubing the 5 gives us 125. So our answer will be 27 over 125. First thing we notice in the simultaneous equations is the coefficients of the x and the y's are different. We could make the x's the same, but I'm going to focus on the y's. So looking at the coefficient of the y, we've got a positive 3 there, we've got a negative 5 there. So ignore the signs, we've got to make them the same. So 3 and 5, we're going to look at the first number in both their times tables, the lowest common multiple. So that's going to be 15. So I'm going to rewrite the first question. So 2x plus 3y equals 12. Get my solving lines in. And I'm going to times everything by 5 to make that coefficient of the y to be 15. So we're going to make them equal. So 2x times 5 is 10x plus 15y, which is good, that's what we wanted. and then 12 times 5, which is 60. Write in the second equation, 3x minus 5y equals minus 1. And this time we're going to times everything by 3 to make that coefficient of the y to be 15. So 3 times 3 is 9x, minus 5 times 3 is minus 15y, which is good, that's what we want. And then minus 1 times 3 is minus 3. So we're going to rewrite those again. And the 9x minus 15y equals minus 3. Okay, so this time it's simultaneous equation, so we know we're going to go downwards. So we get these circles in, make sure that the signs are with the coefficients of the y. And we've got to either add or subtract going downwards. Now, the way of knowing is we look at the coefficients of the one we've made the same, so the y, and we've got a plus 15 and a minus 15. If they are the same sign, then we're going to subtract. If they're different signs, we're going to add. So S in same is S in subtract, D in different is the D in add. Looking at them both, there's a plus 15 and a minus 15, so they are different. So we're going to add. And we don't just add those ones, we add all of them. Now we're going to go down the page, which we always do with simultaneous equations. And we're going to work out the sum of them. So 10x plus 9x is going to be 19x. 15y plus minus, well plus minus just makes a minus, so it's minus 15y minus 15y is 0, which is good, that's what we want. And then 60 plus minus, which makes a minus, so 60 take away 3, which is 57. Then we're going to do a quick bit of solving by dividing both sides by 19, get x on its own. And so we get x equals 57 divided by 19, which is 3. But that's only half the question. We need to find out what y is. So we're going to substitute that into the very first equation we've got. And so we're going to do 2 times the 3 that we've just found, plus 3y equals 12. 2 times 3 is 6, so take away 6 both sides, and we get 3y equals 6. Divide by 3 both sides, and we get y equals 2. And we can substitute those into the second equation to find out whether it equals minus 1, which it does.
You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.